In this video, we are going to discuss what is product backlog grooming. Product backlog grooming is the refinement of the product backlog which is done by the product owner, developers and the scrum master. And the primary role, the role who is responsible for doing the product backlog grooming is the product owner. So as part of the grooming session, there are three important activities that they need to perform. One is moving the high priority items to the top of the list. Second is decompose the larger requirements into smaller ones. So you might have epics, you might have to decompose epics into features, into user stories, so as to make those user stories meet the characteristics of a user story that we discussed, that is invest. And the user stories must be estimated. So prioritize the requirements, decompose the requirements into smaller requirements and estimate the requirements or user stories. So these are the three important activities that we perform as part of the grooming session. So here in this diagram, I have taken an example product backlog. Here we can see that at the top of the product backlog, you can see some small items, maybe more granular items. So these could be the decomposed requirements, which could be the user stories, which are high priority user stories, which are estimated. And you can see that at the lower part of the product backlog, the requirements are quite large. So those could be still epics. And we are not going to groom the product backlog once for all the user stories or for all the requirements on the backlog. But we are going to groom, or we are going to decompose and estimate and prioritize few of the requirements at a time. So we are going to frequently conduct the grooming session throughout the project life cycle. We need to repeat the grooming session throughout the project life cycle. And each time you plan a fresh sprint, we try to use a groomed product backlog for planning a fresh sprint. Because when you are planning a fresh sprint, you need to pick the high priority user stories, and you need to also ensure that the user stories are estimated. You need to ensure that the user stories are decomposed into smaller ones. So the product backlog should be groomed before you plan a fresh sprint.